Unfortunately, over the last 20 years of volunteering and working in Malawi, which is where our program is, I have seen a lot of the negative side of this kind of giving, whether they be moments or projects. And seeing those things over the course of the years has really shaped the way that I work now and the way that I hope other people will start looking at this kind of work. I can give you one example, and then if you want more, we can talk about more. So one example I thought of yesterday was early on in my work. I was working with another nonprofit, and we as a volunteer group were able to put enough money together to buy new mattresses at a children's home in Malawi for all the children.
How many is all of the children? How many are we talking about?
I want to say it was over 100 mattresses that we were
Wow.
putting together for these kids. And so we had collected the money, we were there in country, and we were all going to help replace these mattresses, which meant getting rid of their current mattresses and disposing of them. And in doing so, obviously, we saw a terrible situation. They were sleeping on moldy mattresses that were literally rat infested. We were watching mice jump out of the mattresses as we were removing them. And so replacing all of those mattresses was a good thing. We all felt really good about it. We felt great. Those kids were going to sleep that night on clean mattresses. But after that trip was over, I started thinking, knowing what I know about the climate and the way that those kids live in that community, it wasn't going to be long before those mattresses were going to look just like they did when we got there. There was no plan in place to make sure that those kids were going to sleep cleanly and comfortably long term. We had solved a problem in the moment, and we had all left feeling really good about that, but we hadn't solved the problem long term. If we had taken that intention just one step further and all got together and thought, how do we solve this problem in a big way instead of in a today way, we could have made a bigger difference.
Do you have an example, Erin, of on an individual basis? Maybe not the project isn't off, maybe the project is well synced, or what we call the product market fit of the project, but maybe the individual is not really synced for the kind of work or volunteering that they're trying to do.
So a great example of a volunteer maybe making a wrong choice in the moment that they thought was a good choice. Their intention was in line. Their action had really negative consequences, unfortunately, was we were all on a bus one night. The sun was setting. We were leaving a community. We had had a flat tire, and there were all these kids circling around the bus, as happens when there's a spectacle like this of foreigners in little rural communities somewhere in Africa. And obviously those kids looked hungry and some sick and were begging for food. And we were on the bus. And one of the volunteers decided to toss some of her lunch that she hadn't eaten out the window to a little girl as we were driving away. And as we drove away, that little girl was trampled by a bunch of other people trying to snatch that food from her. We don't know what happened. We don't know how badly she was hurt. But the choice that was made in that moment to throw food out the window to somebody who was hungry wasn't the right choice. And those things come with education and conversations long before you find yourself in a country like that and put in a position like that, where you have a good intention, but you don't know how to act in the moment or what the right thing to do is. And sometimes the right thing to do is not the most comfortable thing.
So that's really interesting on multiple levels. But you did say that there's kind of a way, or maybe indicate there is a way to prepare for that. How would you prepare, or how do you prepare your volunteers before they come over?
We have a lot of conversations with our volunteers before they ever find themselves in Malawi. So there's a lot of background. I don't like to say rules, but recommendations. We try and talk to volunteers about things that they may be faced with once they're there that they might not think about, so that at least they have some place in their mind where they've thought, okay, we talked about this. This is something that I've heard about. This is how I should or shouldn't react. Also, when volunteers first end up in Malawi, before they ever go to visit our project sites, we do a little bit of language lessons to help them be able to get around in the community, even in just rudimentary ways, how to say hi, how to say thank you, things like that. And then we also have speakers come to talk about and religion in the communities that we work in. So at least the volunteers have some semblance of where those people in the community are coming from, why they're acting the way that they are, why they do the things that they do, and a little bit more information on site about why we're there and what we're doing there, what the goal is, what the outcome's going to be, things like that. So if you're jumping into a situation volunteering in a foreign country where you're just told pack your bags, it's going to be great, we're going to put you to work, I think you should pause and ask some more questions so that you put yourself in the best situation when you get there.